Hey everybody, and welcome to this video about the upcoming changes to RdSAP 10. My name is David and I'm the Energy Calculation Lead here at Quidos. I'm the person responsible for creating our SAP and RdSAP calculation engines, and I'm going to be guiding you through this update. During this session, we're going to look at why the changes were needed, what the changes will actually be and how assessments will be impacted by them, and finally when these changes will be going live. So without further ado, let's go. As we'll all remember, in June 2025, RdSAP 10 finally went live for assessors after over a year of work and software development. This was a massive technical change for DEAs and software providers, probably the biggest change since SAP 2012 introduced RdSAP 9.92 over a decade ago. However, in spite of all of the work that was put into it, it's only once the software was being used in anger, with assessors pushing real-world examples through, could we take stock and notice that the release wasn't entirely perfect. There were the occasional things missing and some cases where the implications of a change hadn't been fully considered. So the scheme sat down with government and compiled a list of things that could be addressed in an update. The exercise was to look at simple changes that could be made to improve outcomes for assessments. And it was decided that 4 things would be changed and bundled together in an update called RdSAP 10.0.1. So what's going to be in 10.0.1 then? First is a new roof description allowing for same dwelling above. Next is amending the logic behind the cavity wall insulation improvement measure. Roof room description and banding calculation changes are also included. And finally, the update allows for the implementation of smart thermostats as part of the heating controls. So let's have a look at each of these in turn to see what they're about. Complicated dwellings will require energy assessors to break down the property into a number of different building parts, some of which might be above others, requiring assessors to use same dwelling above as the roof type. For the last decade, same dwelling above has been bundled under another dwelling above on the EPC description. This has caused some obvious confusion, but it seems more people have been aware of this since the RdSAP 10 introduction, so it was decided to bring in a new roof description for same dwelling above. From the example here, we can see that a roof element has been included onto the EPC with the description of another dwelling above. Under 10.0.1, this changes to same dwelling above. They're pretty simple. Let's look at something that was a little bit more complicated. When RdSAP 10 was introduced, the logic behind improvement measure B, cavity wall insulation, was changed so that when the improvement was applied to the dwelling, the wall U value was set at 0.55 watts per square metre Kelvin. However, as we noticed in 2024, 9 months before RdSAP 10 would eventually go live, there was a discrepancy in the application of this measure. I popped up on the screen the U value table for England for RdSAP 10, highlighting the underlying U values for filled cavity walls, with the age bands going from left to right. For age bands A to E, the default U value for a filled cavity is worse than the improved U value, meaning dwellings would have less of a benefit for this measure than it suggests. For newer properties, the default U value is less than the improvement, so you would get more of a benefit. These issues would make planning suitable retrofit works more difficult, as the outcomes could be far different to what's expected. As such, the logic for the improvement has been changed to match how the measure used to work in the previous versions of RdSAP, improving the wall to the filled cavity U value for the age band of that building part. This change will help make the potential ratings where cavity filled is recommended more accurate. One unintended consequence could mean that this improvement might show more often, so it's possible that reports lodged before this change being audited might have the improvement measure suddenly appear, but we'll address that shortly. Next up is the change to how the descriptions and bandings for roof rooms are calculated, specifically using the simplified method for Type 1 and Type 2 roof rooms. The descriptions and bandings for these are based on an area-weighted U value. This is the average U value for the building element based on the area of the constituent parts, such as gable wall, common walls, sloping ceilings, etc. The issue with the simplified roof rooms is that the insulation for the common walls or gables cannot be input, meaning that the overall area weighted U value can be impacted. We've seen numerous instances where a well-insulated roof room has shown limited insulation because the wall U value assumptions were dragging that description down. As part of this update for simplified roof rooms, the walls will not be considered as part of the area weighted U value and will only rely on the U values for the roof elements. For detailed roof room inputs, there'll be no change in how the area weighted U value is calculated. Let's have a quick look at how the descriptions and bandings are determined for roof rooms. These details aren't usually available to assessors, so please don't tell anyone that you've seen them. As I've said, everything is based on the area weighted U value. With the descriptions, the U value determines whether the element is considered insulated or not. A U value above 1.5 would mean no insulation, between 1.5 and 0.5 would equate to limited insulation, and less than or equal to 0.5 would imply the element is insulated. Similarly, the U value also determines the banding for the element, or on Scottish EPCs, the star rating. Less than 0.5 puts it in the good to very good category, and over 1 puts it poor to very poor. Similar processes are used to determine the descriptions for walls and roofs. These are all covered in our Understanding a Domestic EPC CPD module. Right, it's time to go through an example, so pens and paper at the ready, everyone. We've got here an example of the data inputs for a simplified Type 1 roof room. The roof room is band L and 36 square metres in area. It has an exposed 6 metre gable and a 6 metre party wall. The rest of the dwelling is age band A. When we do the maths, the roof area for the roof room shakes it out to be 31.84 square metres with a U value of 0.18. The gables have the same area, 14.7 square metres, one with a U value of 1.5, which matches up with the age band A walls, and the party wall has a U value of 0.25. The area weighted U value for the whole roof room comes out to be 0.51 watts per metre squared Kelvin. From the details that we've already seen, this would equate to a description of limited insulation, and this is what we have on our EPC. From this RdSAP update, as this is a simplified roof room, we're going to exclude the walls as part of our area weighting. This leaves the roof of the roof room with a U value of 0.8. Under the new method, this would result in the description for the roof being insulated. The final change in the RdSAP 10.0.1 update is the implementation of smart thermostats within the RdSAP software. When SAP 10.2 was introduced for new dwellings in 2023, it included a revised product characteristic database which allowed for the selection of smart thermostats from the heating control section. This wasn't fully implemented as part of the initial RdSAP 10 go live, but this new update allows for smart thermostats to be selected. It should be worth noting this will only apply to boilers and not heat pumps. The selection of smart thermostats is based on the level of control already within the dwelling. At a minimum, the heating controls should have the ability to program different heating periods as well as having a room thermostat. Smart thermostats should already be input as a programmer and room thermostat. Smart thermostats work in the same way as time and temperature zone control systems selected from the database. They adjust the heating patterns that are used to calculate the space heating requirements. Here we can see the table from the SAP specification that deals with the heating periods and temperatures. The database record for the control will contain adjustments for the living area temperature, living area heating off periods, and temperature and heating period adjustments for the rest of the dwelling. By reducing the target temperature and extending the periods that the heating is off, we're reducing the demand, resulting in energy savings, and these should translate to an improvement in the dwelling's rating. From this table, we can see which heating controls would need to be selected from IQ Energy for the smart thermostat options to be accessible. As I said, the baseline is programmer and room thermostat, so all the controls will include those. A simple programmer and room thermostat is a Type 1 control, so the database will only allow for Type 1 smart thermostats to be selected. Exactly the same is true for Type 2 controls, such as programmer at least 2 room thermostats and programmer room thermostat and TRVs. The database will only allow compatible Type 2 thermostats to be selected. Where the arrangement of smart thermostats constitute a time and temperature zone control solution, the usual database lookup will display the smart thermostats alongside the other zone control systems. Let's have a quick look at how this change will appear in the IQ Energy RdSAP 10 editor. This is the RdSAP editor that we're all familiar with. So we've gone to the heating tab and started inputting a gas boiler from the database. As said before, the base level of control for a smart thermostat is a programmer and room thermostat. If we start going through the options with the programmer only and room thermostat only options, we don't see a checkbox to select the smart thermostats. If we pick 2104, we now get our checkbox. The pop-up shows us all compatible smart thermostats for that control type. Programmer and room stat are a Type 1 control, so we only see Type 1 smart controls. Programmer, room thermostat and TRVs are a Type 2 control. So selecting these, we can see a different set of smart thermostats, all for Type 2 compatibility. Where it says Type 5 in the column, it means the control is a smart thermostat. This will be helpful for if the control arrangement is considered to be time and temperature zone control. As these are selected from the database anyway, there's no checkbox, just the usual time and temperature zone control selection. But we can now see that the smart thermostats, Type 5, are included in the list. The control type is 3, so these are the ones that are shown in the listing. As noted, smart thermostats are currently only working with gas and LPG boilers, not heat pumps, so you won't be able to select smart thermostats for those. How will assessors be impacted? From a practical level, there should be no real change to what energy assessors need to do whilst completing an assessment, aside from being more aware of any heating controls they're seeing on site and being cautious when selecting them from the database. As with heating systems, if the product in the dwelling doesn't match the device selected in the database, or it isn't clear whether it's the same device from the database, it shouldn't be used. At audit, the QA team will remove the device from the assessment and note the resulting SAP change. Furthermore, with auditing, especially in the crossover period from this going live, we'll be more pragmatic when it comes to dealing with description errors for roof rooms and same dwelling above being used, as well as cavity wall insulation measures starting to appear where they weren't previously. The big question you'll be looking for is when all of this is going to happen. Hey everyone, Future David here. I was about to tell you that the implementation date was going to be May 2026. We had a meeting yesterday, just after I finished recording, and it looks like we're going to be going live first week of June 2026. So first week of June, RdSAP 10.0.1 should be going live. Thanks a lot. So that was the RdSAP 10.0.1 update. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact the Quidos support team. You can email them on support@quidos.co.uk. You can raise a ticket on the support log at support.quidos.co.uk or give them a call on 01225 667 570. I've been David, and thanks for watching.